Les gens, les boxeurs, c'est très agressif. Donc, ces t-shirts un peu à la Tyson, là, les shorts du cou,
And when I say you must obey, just like the both of you took my
Et là, Maïva, ce sont les deux.
Ouais, mais le crochet. Magnifique shot.
Ah, c'est un vrai coup au corps.
Et ouais, le crochet au foie, il a touché.
Là, c'est un vrai coup au corps.
Pendant Bigouan,
Ouais,
encore
pas
un rouge.
au corps.
Allez, très dur là, qui a arrêté.
Oui, forcément, elle remet un genou au sol.
Et elle regarde son point. Ça va dans tous les sens, la part des deux boxeuses. Et tout ça par du bon point. Et la touche par du bon point. Elle a du mal, Viviane.
Et
Elle a du mal à récupérer.
Okay, we'll start with this. Well, recent reports indicate that the Terrence Crawford versus Kell Brook welterweight title fight is all but a done deal, set to go down later on this fall, and my thoughts on the matchup haven't changed. That given the politics of boxing, what's really going on in the welterweight division, I'll take it. I'll take this fight because I think that Kell Brook is a lot more serious about fighting Terrence Crawford than many of these other fighters, many of these other names that have been floated around. All that bluster from Keith Thurman urging Terrence Crawford to send him a contract struck me as hollow because this is the same Keith Thurman who not but a week ago was talking about how he battled depression after losing to Manny Pacquiao, battled the scale. He couldn't manage his own weight. Currently, he says he's weighing in at about 171 and he's taking it 1 week at a time with that hand injury that he's still working through.
You guys think he was serious about fighting Terrence Crawford?
While he demands $10 million guaranteed during a global recession, a global pandemic, in the absence of live audiences, you guys actually thought that Keith Thurman meant business?
Yeah, maybe funny business.
All of the enthusiasm and energy that went into Sean Porter as a potential opponent option. The Sean Porter who about a month before he fought Sebastian Formella was asked about fighting Terrence Crawford, and he said that he had other things cooking. A month later, he ends up fighting Sebastian Formella in a WBC eliminator of some kind. Emphasis on WBC eliminators. Do you think that the guy is fighting in a WBC eliminator because he has intentions of fighting Terrence Crawford?
No.
Is Terrence Crawford the WBC champion?
No.
You know that Danny Garcia was offered this fight well over a year ago, before he even fought Adrian Granados, before he even fought Ivan Redkach, and Danny, he wasn't interested.
And this is the state of affairs.
This is what's been going on. I saw some fleeting interest on the ground with a few of the boxing fans asking why Terrence Crawford didn't decide to go up to junior middleweight and lock horns with the WBO champion there, Patrick Teixeira. And I thought to myself, that's a pretty fucking stupid idea. I don't care where it came from. It's a stupid fucking idea because at junior middleweight, like at welterweight, the PBC dominates most of the talent in the division. Thus, he'd find himself in the same predicament at 154 that he currently finds himself in at 147. The difference being that if he decided to go up to 154, he'd be in a less watched division with less known fighters.
Yeah.
Lesser known fighters, and he'd probably have to return back to 147. He'd essentially be fluctuating in weight.
That's always a good idea.
What's the plan? Go up to 154, win the WBO, just to end up in the exact same situation you came from at 147, because the other 3 world titles, guess what side of the street they're on?
That's a brilliant fucking idea, is what that is.
What would he be going up there to do? What, would he be campaigning there throughout? Would he be campaigning thereafter from that moment on? Or would he be going up there for a one-off? Because if it's for a one-off, then it's more trouble than it's worth. You go up there, you win a title, so you could throw it in the air and go back down to 47? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's not a waste of time at all.
And these snap judgments, these criticisms, this overall lack of understanding for Terrence Crawford's situation is coming from individuals that were okay seeing Errol Spence fight a fat lightweight who had no experience in the welterweight division. They thought that was a pretty good matchup. These snap judgments, these criticisms are coming from guys who didn't say both fucking diddly watching Danny Garcia fight Adrian Granados and Ivan Redcat.
Are those top welterweight?
Crawford versus Brook. Oh, you turn your nose up at that because you're such a fucking connoisseur of boxing.
Right?
I thought you guys wanted to see Terrence Crawford fight a common opponent with Errol Spence. This is a common opponent with Errol Spence. This is the guy that Errol Spence won his IBF title from. Or is it that the common opponent has to be a PBC fighter that you approve of? That seems to be the case.
Who the fuck are you again?
The blithering idiots who think that here today Keith Thurman is a better opponent choice than Kell Brook, the same Keith Thurman who basically told you all he's still recovering from a hand injury, he's been depressed since losing to Manny Pacquiao, and he's been struggling to manage his own weight. This seems like a more solid guy to you than Kell Brook. Kell Brook, who actually had a fight this year, is coming off of victories, not losses, unlike Keith Thurman.
Yeah, but they were at 154.
Oh, because you're so worried about Kell's weight, right? And how that would affect his ability to perform. You're not worried about Keith Thurman walking around right now at 171, and that came from him. You're not worried about that, but you're worried about Kell coming down from 154.
This is fucking stupid.
The level of grab-assery in the American boxing scene really is at an all-time high. You have fight fans that actually argue against fights and argue in favor of filler fights and preludes, unnecessary preludes, because in boxing, anything can happen, so you have to strike while the iron is hot and while the demand is high, and this fight has been shelved for so long that it's actually become cold product. You know what fight I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Crawford versus Spence fight. There was more of a demand for Crawford and Spence to fight than there was for Spence to fight Mikey or for Spence to fight Porter. The Porter fight was a great fight. I was entertained by it. It was a unification match, but make no mistake, that wasn't the biggest fight the welterweight division had to offer, and that wasn't the fight that the fight fans were asking for. We've reached a point in the American boxing scene where the promoters actively ignore what the fight fans are asking for and tell them what they should want to watch.
That's why Gervonta Davis is fighting Leo Santa Cruz.
And that's why the Crawford versus Spence fight ended up getting put on the back burner for so long that this guy ended up flipping a goddamn Ferrari, and now we don't know if he's damaged goods. We need Danny Garcia to answer that question for us.
And this is the state of American boxing.
But you want to complain about Terrence Crawford fighting Kell Brook.
Does he even have a choice?
These fucking guys know exactly what's going on at 147 pounds, and these snap judgments, these critiques in reference to Crawford versus Brook are more of this postmodern trolling we see amongst boxing fans, that they don't actually want to see a fight. They don't actually want to see the best versus the best because they're afraid of what might happen, that it might not favor their favorite fighter. Thus, they rather spend all their time on social media trolling.
And that is what boxing in this country has been reduced to.
Now it's time for our post-fight recap of what are the fighting Yokas, Estelle Mosley Yoka and Tony Yoka. Estelle made it past Frelmau, as I expected her to, added another win to her record, though it's her husband's win. Tony Yoka over his countryman Johan Duhaupus, that I think is going to have most people talking after this card. I didn't expect the one-sided beating, the one-round destruction that I got upon reviewing this match. Tony Yoka has effectively made a statement in advancing to a professional record of 8-0, 8 wins and 7 knockouts. The 7th coming by way of the one-sided destruction, the one-sided beating he put over Johan Duhaupus. In truth, I wasn't expecting the fight to end as abruptly as it did. I was expecting something along the lines of, I don't know, maybe Joe Joyce versus Bermain Stavern.
Something mildly competitive.
Because Johan Duhaupus is a far more experienced professional boxer than Tony Yoka is, because he has exhibited a lot of durability in those experiences with other fighters that he's fought with, fighters like Deontay Wilder, one of the bigger punchers in the weight class, because it's been about 12 months since Tony Yoka had a fight. This is a guy who already didn't have much experience, so that kind of a layoff, well, I expected that we'd see shades of it show up in his performance. It's been 12 months since Tony Yoka had a fight, whereas it's been 11 months since Johan Duhaupus' last outing, and I just didn't anticipate that this fight would end as abruptly end in one-sided fashion as much as it did. Tony Yoka has effectively sent a statement to the rest of the weight class. Olympic gold medalist Tony Yoka.
Well, I've been telling you guys about for a long time now.
That this kid, given his selection, his punch selection, his physical dimensions as a boxer, his athleticism, the quality of his movements and the range of them, this is a guy who has all the makings of what could be the heir apparent, or one of the heir apparents, to the next generation of heavyweight fighters, heavyweight champions, i.e., this could be France's version of Anthony Joshua. Well, he's a very big kid like Anthony Joshua. He's got a lot of tools, though he's nowhere near as kludgy, not carrying as much muscle mass. I will say that the quality of Tony Yoka's movements are what you would expect to see from a light heavyweight or a super middleweight, maybe even a middleweight. This guy moves like a smaller man, and that makes him lethal given his actual size.
Because he's so fluid.
And like Anthony Joshua, Tony Yoka is an Olympic upstart. Tony Yoka is an Olympic gold medalist. He's got the pedigree. I'll tell you what I want to see in the next 12 months from this kid. Very soon, Tony Yoka will be making his top-ranked debut. In the next 12 months, all the world titles in the heavyweight division are going to be spoken for, one way or another. Anthony Joshua could end up fighting Tyson Fury 2 times next year. He could end up fighting Usyk and fighting Fury 2 times thereafter, provided he makes it past Usyk, i.e., it's not likely that anybody outside of Usyk is going to get a title shot in 2021. And what a fighter like Tony Yoka can do in that time, while he's working his way to that point, is to take on common opponents with Anthony Joshua, with Tyson Fury, to establish himself as a force. I want to see Tony Yoka against a Dominic Breazeale, against a Charles Martin, against an Otto Wallin. Not even limited to common opponents between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, also common opponents with Deontay Wilder, yet another fighter that, at least to some, has been a force in the division. I would like to see Tony Yoka versus a Bermain Stavern.
You already made short work of Duhaupus.
And the basic idea here is to get the conversation going, those cross comparisons between performances, i.e., who did it better, whilst simultaneously amassing the necessary professional experiences to climb up the ranks and round out as a fighter, so the day you're afforded a world title opportunity, you're ready for it. I'll tell you that off this year layoff and first round knockout of an experienced vet who normally shows a lot of durability, I'll tell you that Tony Yoka continues to impress me and continues to exhibit the kind of upside, the kind of ceiling that I'm always telling you guys about, that this kid, he could be the heir apparent to the heavyweight throne, if not one of them. Congratulations to both Estelle Mosley Yoka and Tony Yoka, who are showing that the Yoka name carries a lot of weight, and the Yoka family is a family of winners. And finally, Rick Glacier took to Twitter to provide some insights based on things he's hearing around the campfire, what the rumor mill is spinning, and Rick said, rumors abound. The guy pictured as having real weight issues for his October 24th fight versus Leo Santa Cruz, even though he's getting sat on by the Mayweather crew. Good luck, Gervonta Davis, attempting 130 pounds. There will be a problem at the weigh-in, #Showtime, #pay-per-view, #boxing. Leonard Ellerby thought enough of Rick's comments to address them and said, someone sent me a pic that he said Tank was overweight. Clearly, that's bullshit. This pic of Tank was yesterday. The inference you can make based on Team Davis's reaction to Rick Glacier's comments is that they didn't take none too kindly to them. They don't like the idea of someone saying that Tank is struggling to make weight, even though Tank has struggled to make weight in the past. Lest we forget, he lost the IBF title on the scales, not in the ring. He almost missed the weight in the Hugo Ruiz fight. It took a couple of tries for him to make the mark, and lest we forget, very recently, upon his ascent to the lightweight division, he almost missed the weight there too. So it's safe to say that Gervonta Davis has had struggles making weight in the past, which fuel what concerns exist here in the present. I mean, it's not often you hear about a fighter moving up in weight and he almost misses the mark while he's moving up in weight. Why did he move up in weight in the first fucking place?
Just to end up going back down to super featherweight?
What was the point of all of that? You go up to 135 to fight for a trinket title against Yuriorkis Gamboa so that your very next fight would be against a guy from 126 who just moved up to 130 where you just left from.
I don't see what the point of all that was.
Unless the point of all that was to give Gervonta Davis's body a break from attempting to make super featherweight. Now, I'll tell you something. Even if the numbers are looking the way that the Davis camp want them to look, even if he seems to be on track, making weight is only one part of the trial here. Making the weight is only one issue to be addressed. It's not simply can Gervonta Davis make the weight. Can he make the weight and perform? Because that's what it's really all about. Can he make the weight and still be fighting fit? Can he make the weight healthy? The answer to that question is an answer we won't receive until the night of the fight, when the opening bell rings. We're just not going to know.
I don't even know what these guys are getting so fucking defensive about.
Leonard Ellerbe, Gervonta Davis, and what sycophants support that organization, that team. I mean, what are you getting upset about?
You're so defensive.
Because Gervonta Davis has never missed weight before? Because he hasn't almost missed the mark several times already? Because Leo Santa Cruz doesn't have weight stipulations and penalties in play for Gervonta Davis? Should he miss the contracted weight? Is all of this made up?
Think people are pulling this stuff out of their ass or something?
I don't doubt for a second that Rick Glacier might have actually heard this rumor, because Gervonta Davis, as an athlete, as a fighter, has given everyone every reason to spread these kinds of rumors around. These are legitimate concerns. Weight is an issue. That's why those hefty penalties are in play. That's why that's a part of the contract. And posting a couple of pictures on social media, that doesn't really tell us anything. I mean, ahead of the Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua rematch, there were pictures floating around of a very fit and trim Andy Ruiz, but that's not the Andy Ruiz we got the night of the fight.
So what the fuck am I supposed to make of this?
Even if that is the present state of Gervonta Davis's physique, there still is some time between now and fight night. And even if he can maintain that physique from now until fight night, we still won't know whether or not he made the weight healthy, fighting fit, until he is required to perform. We won't have the answer to that question till the opening bell rings and Gervonta Davis is required to go out there and show us how do you make the weight. Because for some reason you guys decided to move up to the lightweight division. We already know why you decided to move back down. It's because you can't make as many in-house fights in the lightweight division. The PBC and TMT don't have as many ponies in that show. Your next available option for a marquee fight of some kind rests at 130 pounds. The guy that you've been eyeballing for over a year now. The guy who moved up from 126 to 130 when you should be fighting 135 pounders.
Since you've been busting at the seams at 130.
The Davis people chose to respond to this rumor rather quickly, and I don't know. Is that a sign of frustration? Is that cause for concern, or is it nothing? Is it exactly the way they say it is on the surface of it?
I don't know. We'll find out in October.